My parents, they waited a long time for me, and when they finally adopted me when they were in their 40s, they really did everything they possibly could to give me a really great childhood. There's a lot of really great memories going to Disney World every year, my dad playing with me on the floor when he got home from work, a whole lot of really awesome, positive memories. Overall, I had a pretty good childhood. What makes me feel alive is really, it sounds really cliche, but like helping people. Like whenever, you know, that moment you see their look on their face of like just pure joy and like appreciation and just knowing that you did something that really touched them in a deep way, that is something that I live for, really. I love that feeling. I love knowing that somebody is better off after me than they were before me. So all the ministries and all the like birthday parties, getting people gifts, taking people places, hanging out with people, I think that's really kind of what does it for me. I'm really not a thrill seeker. Probably the most challenging thing that I've dealt with, if I can get through it without being a mess, was the death of my dad. That, I think, in a lot of ways was a whole lot more than kids are supposed to process. And so it was really sudden. He was a Vietnam vet and was exposed to Agent Orange. And he just, you know, I was eating my Cheerios and then all of a sudden I hear my mom yelling and I have to run up the stairs and I just, you know, see him in a way that I don't think a kid should ever have to see their parent. And we worked on him for quite a while. I had my back against his, and I pretty much, you know, felt him stop breathing. And I knew it was pretty much, you know, done. But the EMS people got there pretty quickly after that, and they loaded him up and kind of just whisked him down the stairs. And then I had to run across the street to my neighbor to hitch a ride for school. And it was a silent car ride. And I remember running past the ambulance as they were loading him in, and just like at that moment, everything just went like blank, like numb. And then I got to school, and I mean, I didn't really know what to do with myself. And so I just remember looking at my friend, and I just told her, my dad had a heart attack this morning. And she was like, oh. And then I was in 5th grade, so they still really supervise you. And they just, once they figured out what had happened, they kind of, I guess they did the best they could, but they put me in a closet, like a large closet, and just with a computer, and told me to play solitaire until they heard from my mom from the hospital. So then when they finally came and got me, I pretty much knew, unless a miracle happened, that he was gone, because I felt it. And when she came, they took me to the chapel, and I knew it wasn't like, go to the chapel's not good. So when she told me that he was gone, she was crying, and everyone else was crying, but I wasn't. And I don't think I really cried in front of anybody. I cried whenever the lights went out in my room. That's when I let it all out. And it was pretty lonely. But what that led to was, that happened right after my 11th birthday in January of 2001. And then September was 9/11. And I had watched that happen at school, and that kind of thing. And I had to be in therapy because, my mom was grieving. And we didn't really click grieving together, I guess, well. And so we had problems. So we went to therapy. And then that's when the therapist diagnosed me with PTSD. And she said that it was a combination of things because of 9/11 happened, and then right afterwards, my dad suddenly died. It was gone. She was saying that, to a kid, that's pretty much like rocking the whole world, it's like what's going to happen next, two huge things just happen out of the blue. And so I think that was probably the single most challenging. And then walking out the years after that happened, dealing with just crippling anxiety, and honestly being too proud to let anybody know or ask for help. I had PTSD since 2001. It's 2017, so it's 16 years. Minus 1, so 15. About 15 years I think I had it. And I did not want to tell anybody about it because I thought, especially once I become a parent, they're going to judge me, they're going to want to take away my kids, they're going to, I was really afraid to talk about it, and I thought I was the only one that could possibly be this crazy. And then we had a home group and I met this awesome person, and she was so comforting to me, and I just told myself, Molly, you're going to have to tell somebody about it, so why don't you just start here? So I opened up a little bit, and I told her, I was like, this is going to sound weird, but I just really need to tell somebody this. And I was standing in her bedroom, told her everything, and she looked back at me and she said, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with the exact same thing. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And it was such a liberating moment because I was like, I was the only one. I was the only one that was this crazy, that was this nuts that did this kind of stuff. And, we went back and forth trading stories of the crazy stuff we did. And we were like, oh my gosh, we're both not crazy alone. We're crazy together. And so it was so comforting to know that somebody out there was dealing with something just like me. And it gave me a lot of liberty to open up. So looking back on the past however many years I've been dealing with this and then been healed from it, what I've taken from it and what I would hope others would take from it is you can go through something that breaks you and you'll be okay. The key is having a relationship with the Lord. If you have that relationship, you will be okay. Because like I told myself, He's got me and I'll be okay. And it was true. And as I was going through it, one verse that stuck out to me that I hope will stick out to others going through it was Hebrews 12:12. That chapter is talking about the Lord disciplining His children and going through that refining process. And I definitely felt like I was there for quite a while. But Hebrews 12:12 says, "So take a new grip with your tired hands and stand firm on your shaky legs. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Then those who follow you, though they are weak and lame, will not stumble and fall, but will become strong. And that really inspired me in the heat of everything to pick myself up and keep going, because, you know, my life's not just about me. I want my life to pave a way for other people. And what better way than to just pick up my britches and keep walking through the mud, however high it is. I think when you're dealing with mud that thick, the only thing that can help you through it is the hand of the Lord literally pulling you through that muck sometimes. And that's why it's so important to me to share my testimony with other people, even though it's really uncomfortable, because people need to know that even if something terrible happens and you're stuck in a pit and you feel like you're never going to get out, if you hang on to the Lord and if you nurture that relationship and you keep praying, you will get out. And when you get out, you'll be able to make a path for those who follow you. And that is an incredible testimony and legacy to leave, in my opinion, that someone could follow in your footsteps and say, because of them I had hope, and because of them I was able to strengthen my relationship with God and get through what was plaguing me. I think that is what sums up how I want people to think about what I've gone through, and I hope it's how they feel when they get to the other side of what they're dealing with.